Assalamualaikum, I'm Siti Maisarah Suhaimi will briefly explain on this content of slide presentation. So basically this slide presentation will be consisted of introduction, methodology, data collection, data analysis, issues and implications, and finally conclusion and recommendation. All of these content are desired to achieve two objectives of this study. Firstly is to identify the issues regarding illegal gated and guarded housing scheme, and secondly is to identify its implication on legal perspectives.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Istikhorah binti Ismail, and I will start this presentation with the definition of gated and guarded housing scheme. So basically, gated and guarded housing scheme is when a cluster of residential area or building surrounded by walls or fences or any possible perimeters with entrance or access to houses or buildings controlled by certain measures of restriction, which normally include 24 hours security, guard patrols, central monitoring system, as well as closed circuit televisions, which also known as CCTV. These are the most common facilities that will be provided in a gated and guarded housing scheme. The number one is the guard post, which normally located at the entrance and exit of the housing scheme. The purpose of having a guard post or guard is to control the number of residents to enter the housing scheme. It is also to ensure that only residents can enter the housing scheme, and also those who are permitted to enter the housing scheme. And then the next one is the CCTV, which also known as closed circuit televisions. It is to ensure that the whole housing scheme is safe from any crime to be occurred in the housing scheme. This is the illustration of gated and guarded housing scheme, and it can be seen that the post guard is located at the entrance and exit of the housing scheme. And also normally gated and guarded housing scheme is surrounded by walls or fences or any possible perimeters, and as in this case, as in this picture, the housing scheme is surrounded by green field and also some trees. The examples of gated and guarded housing scheme that can be found in Malaysia is, for instance, the Bandar Bayu, Kajang Country Heights, as well as Bandar Seri Damansara in Petaling Jaya.
Hi and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhamad Burhanudin, and I'm going to present about the methodology of this research. Before we going on to the further detail of the method that we use in this research, I'm going to explain about the case study first. So, the case study will be taken place at the Bandar Seri Damansara. This guarded community was established since August 2009. It is comprises of several types of property, which are the low-cost flat, apartments, condominium, and as well as bungalow unit. We are focusing on the terrace house unit, which are having about 5,731 units in gated and guarded of Bandar Seri Damansara. Other than that, the area is located off the south of North Expressway and lies approximately about 16 kilometers from Kuala Lumpur city centre. Other than that, Bandar Seri Damansara is located within the Petaling district in Selangor, which are industrial and freehold commercial and residential area. It is situated at the Petaling Jaya Utara 9 district code, which called as PJU 9. Other than that, the case study place is situated at the north of Damansara Perdana PJU 8, and it is near to other townships such as Kepong, Kota Damansara PJU 5, Bandar Utama PJU 6, Mutiara Damansara PJU 7, and Bandar Manjalara and Siramas and Valencia.
is primary data. What is primary data? Primary data is the data collected or obtained by the researcher for the first time. The researcher will create a set of questionnaire in order to obtain the data from the resident or the respondent. The researcher will use the online platform such as Google Form in order to obtain the data from the resident. The sampling method for this research that has been chosen by the researcher itself is simple random sampling. The sample size of the researcher was determined the sample size of this research by using the sample size calculator from Survey University. The margin error is 10%, while the confidence level is 95%. From the population is 5,731 unit houses. After the data has been collected by the researcher, the data will be analyzed in the SPSS.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Najwa binti Azizul Amir, and I will be presenting on data analysis of the issues of illegal guarded and guarded housing scheme. This part includes two sections, which include section A and section B, and I will start by presenting the section A first. Section A is regarding demographic information. Demographic information is the detail of the background of the respondent who responded to our questionnaire. This section consists of 7 questions, which include the gender of respondent, the age of respondent, the ethnicity, the marital status, the monthly household income of the respondent, and the status of respondent property that they were living in. So I will start by presenting the first figure, which is the gender of the respondent. This figure is to observe the differences between the numbers of a male respondent and the female respondent who responded to this questionnaire. It shows that the number of female respondents have exceeded the numbers of male respondents with 8 respondents. It shows that out of 80 respondents, 44 respondents were female and the remaining 36 were male respondents. So the second figure shows the age of respondents who participated in this questionnaire. All the 80 respondents were categorized into 5 age-specific groups. The majority of the respondents were at the age between 30 to 39 years old, with 39% of our respondents. Meanwhile, the second highest is the respondent who aged at 20 to 29 years old. For the least responses are from the respondent who at the age of 60 years and above, with 1% of respondents. The third figure is to show the ethnicity of the respondent who experienced living in gated and guarded housing scheme. The most ethnic of the respondents were Malay with 60 respondents, followed by Chinese ethnic with 13 respondents, and the least ethnic were Indian residents with 7 respondents. Fourth figure is the data that shows the marital status of respondents who participate in this questionnaire. 48 of them were married and 28 respondents were single. Minority of the respondents was divorced and widow at 2.5% respectively. Next figure is regarding the household income of the residents in monthly basis. Majority of respondents who involved in this questionnaire were in the group of monthly income at a range between 4,000 ringgit to 5,999, with 43%, and followed by a group of household monthly income between the range of 2,000 to 3,999 ringgit, 35%. However, this figure also shows the zero response from the respondent who the monthly income from 10,000 and above. So the last figure is about the status of a respondent property that they were living in, whether they own or rental the property unit. A majority of the respondents were staying at their own house, with 69% of respondents, which is covered 55 out of 80 respondents, while remaining 25 respondents with 21% are those who living in rental property units.
Imaan binti Norajian. I'm going to continue with the data analysis of section B, which is the gated and guarded housing scheme information. As you can see from the first pie chart, is on the respondents staying at the gated and guarded areas by years. Majority of the respondents has been staying at the gated and guarded communities for 5 years. while only minority, which is 2% of the respondents, has been staying at the gated and guarded communities for 21 years and above. Moving on to the next pie chart, which is on the safety of being in the gated and guarded community. Majority of the respondents feel safe staying at the gated and guarded community. Meanwhile, only minority does not feel safe staying at the gated and guarded communities. The third pie chart shows the awareness of the issues related to the illegal gated and guarded scheme in Malaysia. Majority of the respondents aware of the legal issues related to gated and guarded housing in Malaysia. Meanwhile, only minorities, which is 20%, are not aware of the issues related to the illegal gated and guarded housing in Malaysia. The next pie chart shows the awareness of the legal status of the gated and guarded housing scheme that the respondents are staying in. Majority of the respondents are aware of the legal status of the gated and guarded housing schemes that they are currently living in. Meanwhile, only minority are not sure of the legal status of the gated and guarded housing scheme that they are staying in. Moving on to the next pie chart is on the existence of proper gates and guardhouse at the exit and entry point of the housing scheme. Majority of the respondents, which made up 87%, states that there are proper guardhouse and gates at the entry and exit points of the housing scheme, while only 5% states that there are no proper gates and guardhouse at their gated and guarded housing scheme. Moving on to the next pie chart is on the awareness towards the illegality of blocking the public roads in gated and guarded areas. Majority of the respondents are aware that it is illegal to block the roads in the gated and guarded areas, while they are equal in response of not sure and no, that they are not aware of the illegality of blocking public roads and in gated and guarded areas. Lastly, the pie chart shows the satisfaction towards the gated and guarded scheme in the community. Majority of the respondents are satisfied with the gated and guarded scheme they are staying in, while only minority feels very unsatisfied with the gated and guarded housing scheme that they are living in.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurhannani Imaan binti Norajian, and I'm going to talk about the next issue, which is on the obstruction of firefighters' duty. The obstruction of firefighters' duty occurs due to the non-compliance of gated and guarded housing scheme guidelines. The illegal gated and guarded housing scheme tends to build guard posts and boom gates against the limit underlined by the Uniform Building Bylaws (UBBL). The standard perimeter of the guard posts that are supposed to be built are 1.8 meters times 2.4 meters. Due to the not following the guidelines, it will prevent or cause inconvenience for the firefighters to get to the location of emergency as soon as possible. The implication of this issue is towards the developer of the housing scheme is that the illegal structures that pose a fire hazard will be instructed to be dismantled immediately. Aside from that, failure to comply with the underlined requirements are punishable with a fine not exceeding 5,000 ringgit or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years or both.
Issue due to the illegal gated and guarded housing scheme is blockage of public road. It is blocking of public roads that leads to gated and guarded communities, which considered as public spaces and also considered as open spaces. There are 2 articles published by The Star back in 2007 highlights about the illegal road blockage in some gated and guarded communities in Malaysia. It is when the public road user complain that they need to go through the post guard to reach their houses as the road has been blocked by the residents of gated and guarded communities. and it irritates them as the guards stop them at the entrance if their name didn't appear as residents of gated and guarded communities. And the implication of this issue is that it violates the right of the public road user, as the roads are supposed to be common property and can be used by everyone. There are laws that prevail the land-related problems, including gated and guarded schemes, which are Strata Titles Act 2007, Street Drainage and Building Act 2007, Housing Development in Control and Licensing Act 2017, and also Building and Common Property in Maintenance and Management Act 2007. However, Section 46 of Building and Common Property in Maintenance and Management Act 2007 has led to confusion in settling the matters regarding public road blockage. So there are two confusions. There are 2 points of confusions that need to be cleared out in order to resolve this problem. The first confusion is when it questions on the legality of the gated and guarded communities subject to Section 46, which bans public spaces from being blocked. It is illegal actually if gated and guarded communities to block roads in the scheme that are actually open to public, as the roads are surrendered to the local authority. Followed with the statement above, maintenance fees payable by the home buyers should not be imposed, as it is the duty of the local authority to maintain the road. And it leads to second confusion, which it is presumed that the legislators intentionally did not amend Section 46, and the legislature intended to keep the open spaces in gated and guarded communities in private, meaning that gated and guarded communities developers does not need to hand over the open spaces to local authority, as the open spaces is already considered as private by the gated and guarded community. In conclusion, such confusion of act has led to many consequences, including the developers and gated and guarded communities to take advantage of the existing confusion, making the problem remains unsolved until today.
Next, moving on to the issue faced inside the illegal gated and guarded community. Living in a gated community is not entirely trouble-free, as residents in such places have to bear with a major problem, such as getting the local authorities to provide services such as garbage collection, clearing drains, and covering potholes. As ratepayers, the residents are entitled to such services. However, the physical barrier put up at the guarded and gated community makes it difficult for the local authorities to render such services. The first issue could be faced by them is the right of access is hardly to be gained for the local authority services to execute their work. Number two, block road area are not belong to the resident that live in such housing scheme, but it is belong to the local authorities jurisdiction. The issue number three is the developer that built the housing scheme for gated and guarded community is not complying with the regulation set by the government. Controlled accessibility on non-resident into gated community development is not sanctioned by any law. In other words, the residents do not have any legal right whatsoever to prevent entry to any member of the public. This clearly reflects the concept residents' individualistic tendency prompted by their desire to distance themselves from residents outside the gate community areas. Other than that, the developer also does not have the right to prevent the local authority from entering the gated community for the purpose of inspection and monitoring at any time. So the implication could be the first one is the public work cannot be done by the local authorities such as garbage collecting, servicing work, and civil work on common public area. Number two is the argumentation happened among the residents with the local authorities, and the suggestion is to take down the barrier from the guarding house. It just make the issue become more worse.
Okay, for the issue that related to the illegal gated and guarded is the unregistered of resident association. The community didn't register the housing scheme in a proper way to the local authority. So, Ampang Jaya Municipal Council takes action by giving the notice that their gated and guarded neighborhood scheme has been carried out since 2009 was illegal. Over 150 residents in that housing scheme protest against the Ampang Jaya Municipal Council. Authority has mentioned in the notice that they will remove all the security facilities at that housing scheme after 14 days if they didn't remove the security facilities itself. This is because Ampang Jaya Municipal Council wants to protect the resident in that area. From the issue, it lead to 3 implications of the unregistered gated and guarded society. The implication is give more disadvantages towards the community and the surrounding than advantages. It is reported that unregistered community is not eligible and cannot enjoy the tax benefit that has been provided to a registered community. It also said that internal dispute resolution and unregistered community will facing major problems when they want to approach the police officer or civil court regarding the big arguments between the parties. Last but not least, the unregistered community do not have right to collect deposit, annual sinking fund, and regular charges from the resident. This is because the community itself is illegal, and when they facing any emergency expenses or repair, the resident itself will pay heavy amount of money out of their pocket to fix any broken amenities in that locality.
The next issue relating to illegal gated and guarded housing scheme is lack of proper security from illegal management. Some of the scheme is based on convincing and persuading activities toward every residents to join the illegal gated and guarded scheme without they knowing the status. This scheme does not obtain approval by the government as they do not apply any legal requirement for gated and guarded development. So this may lead to the issues on improper security as they are consist of several negative attitudes from illegal management such as lack of intention. As most of illegal gated and guarded management are not taken serious on the resident safety and security. Other than that, this illegal scheme charge higher fees to the unwilling resident whom they does not obtain their consent from the development. Therefore, the less amount of fees paid by residents who also may also lead to improper security as they could not maintain the efficiency of security services. And as for the implications, residents feel more unsafe and fear. Due to the lack of security from management team, the residents feel genuinely afraid for their safety and well-being. According to APSA Congress in 2011, the lack of attention given in planning the physical security management can provide opportunity toward various crimes. Gated communities should be offered high standard of security within their boundaries. In conclusions, gated and guarded community is one of the housing schemes that play a crucial role in establishing safe living environment for the resident. However, implementations of the concept scheme also should apply and align with appropriate guidelines in order to protect the right of residents and to regulate the property security management properly. In addition, to enhance the existing planning of this scheme, parties that involved in the building and planning physical security management must fully cooperate with the resident. This successful scheme is able to promote the bottom-up decision-making process in the country.
As for conclusion, issues of illegal gated and guarded housing scheme with its implication on legal perspective have been identified. Some of the issues that have been highlighted in the study are blockage of public road, improper management lead to lack of security access, lack of access for local authority to do their work, unregistered of resident association, obstruction towards firemen from carrying out duty, and ignorance of some developers that disobey rules and regulation. Hence, implication from those issues including violating the right of common properties, lead to crime activities, rising of argumentation, illegal structure of post-fire hazard has been dismantled, and unregistered communities unable to enjoy tax benefits. Besides, the findings of the study showed that most of them were unsatisfied with the services provided, and they were lack in awareness toward the issues of illegal gated and guarded. Therefore, recommendation of the studies has been made, which is related parties or organizations such as housing and local government ministry to have in place a set of federal legislation and some other initiatives to govern and regulate related communities in order to protect their rights and raise the level of awareness of residents, especially gated and guarded communities.